In order to understand how different dogs can be, first look around your classroom. Are all of your classmates about the same size as you? Imagine having classmates that tower over you, or are so small that you could pick them up in your hand. This is exactly what happens to dogs. They can be the same age, just like you and your classmates, but some can be very large and some can be very small. For example, let's look at two different dog breeds, a Great Dane and a Pug. There is a big difference in their size. Do you notice anything else really different about them? How about the shapes of their heads? Let's take a closer look. It makes sense that the larger dog would have a much larger head, but do you know what feature is really different between them? Not their eyes or their ears, but their nose. Why does the Great Dane have such a long nose while the Pug's nose is pushed into its face? This is because when humans first started to keep dogs as pets, they began to use selective breeding. Humans started keeping dogs as pets thousands of years ago. We chose to feed them and care for them, which was certainly beneficial for the dog, but it benefited us as well, because the dogs would help us with things like hunting. When humans bred those dogs, they would choose parents with certain traits they liked, like big or small body size, long or short legs, and all sorts of other things. After 10,000 years, we now have all sorts of breeds of dogs in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors, all because of selective breeding. All these different types of dogs can be broken down into 8 groups. Each grouping is composed of dogs that are particularly useful in certain areas. There's a sporting group, non-sporting group, herding group, hunting group, working group, terrier group, toy group, and a miscellaneous group. The miscellaneous group is composed of all the dogs that don't particularly fit in the other 7 categories. There are many different traits that humans have selected for. Let's look at one in particular. As dogs have been selectively bred, their skulls have changed shape based on what humans need them for. There are 3 different types of skull shapes: dolichocephalic, brachycephalic, and mesocephalic. Dolichocephalic dogs tend to have longer, narrower snouts. Brachycephalic dogs tend to have shorter, broader snouts, and mesocephalic dogs have a skull that is of medium length and size. Each of these skull shapes come with different advantages. Mesocephalic dogs, including golden retrievers, are most similar to wolves in snout size, and they are often more intelligent than other dogs. Many of these dogs are bred for herding. Dolichocephalic dogs, like the Great Dane, are often faster than other dogs, and can be bred for things like hunting and racing. Brachycephalic dogs, like the boxer or pug, tend to be stronger relative to the other dog size. These dogs were initially bred to be working dogs, although many toy dog breeds are brachycephalic as well. So how do you think all of these dogs can look so very different, but still be the same type of animal? Well, it's just like how you and your best friend may look different, but still think and act the same way. You might have brown hair and they might have blonde. Well, our body is made up of cells, and inside these cells, there is DNA. DNA is like the instruction book for your body. The DNA codes for genes, and these genes tell the cells in our body how to behave. Some genes create skin cells, while others create the different color pigment for your skin or hair. Your DNA comes from your parents, and the different combinations of these genes is how we get such a variety of different people. Just like you and me, genes aren't always perfect. Sometimes they don't follow directions and they mess up. There are 3 outcomes when your genes make mistakes. It's a good thing, a bad thing, or it doesn't matter one way or the other. Some mutations can cause disorders like sickle cell anemia, Huntington's disease, and color blindness. These disorders aren't so fun to have, but there are some mutations that can be fun. I'll bet some of you have fun mutations. Do you have red hair or blue eyes? Then you have a mutation. Just like Ron Weasley. These mutations happened thousands of years ago and got passed down from parent to child over and over again. Really, mutations are the reason everyone is so diverse. Wouldn't life be boring if everyone was the exact same? Mutations can happen in all sorts of organisms, and dogs are no exception. Mutations cause these differences we see in dogs, and humans just use selective breeding to pass on certain traits to the next generation. All dogs have a gene called BMP4. BMP4 does all sorts of things in the dog's body, but most importantly, this gene has some responsibility in the formation of the dog's face. Scientists have discovered that if this gene has mutation, dogs have shorter faces. If there is no mutation, the dog will have a longer face. So that means that the dogs like Pugs have a mutation in BMP4, while dogs like the Great Dane do not have this mutation. So now you know a little bit about the science behind why your poodle looks a whole lot different from your neighbor's hound dog.